Welcome to Coach Gone Rogue, the podcast that boosts your self-awareness without all the trendy self-help fluff. I'll share tips, tricks, tools, and practices you can implement to uncover who you truly are, create real, meaningful change, and to build your amazing life. No matter what stage of self-growth you're at, if you're looking for real, no BS support, then this is the show you need. I'm Keturah, self-awareness coach with a twist, and this is Coach Gone Rogue. Why should self-love be anywhere near the top of your to-do list? What exactly is it, and why should you be investing any kind of time or attention to getting more self-love in your life? So self-love is like that step up from self-awareness. You can be fully aware of who you are and how you tick and not be overly keen on it. Self-love is self-awareness with a sense of joy, of compassion, of care, of excitement, of truly owning who you are and, dimming down the negative voices that quite often pop up in our heads. Not eradicating them, not necessarily possible, but having a focus on self-love and of compassion, gratitude, and care for ourselves that kind of influences how we approach our lives, how we approach ourselves, our feelings, our emotions, and our goals. Essentially, our level of self-love is pretty much on par with our level of self-worth, and it sets the limits to our success. So what I want you to do is to imagine that all of the things that you're hoping to have more of in your life are represented in different buckets. You've got a love bucket and a success bucket and a happiness bucket. And the idea is to not only fill all of these buckets, but to overflow them. You want them to be full and overflowing with whatever it is that you are wanting to top them up with. So if you imagine then your self-love bucket and imagining trying to fill this up and overflowing it. Now imagine that every time there's a limiting belief or that you doubt your own worth or that you have some negative self-talk or some sort of behavior or activities or something that you undertake that is undermining the love that you have for yourself, that you're punching a hole in that bucket. So what that means is however much love you continue to pour in is all coming out of these holes that you've created by not thinking that you're worthy, by doubting yourself, by talking badly to yourself in your own brain, or by behaviors that prove to yourself that you're not putting yourself first. You don't prioritize yourself. It ends up being impossible to fill your bucket, let alone overflow it with all of these things going on. So working towards self-love is as much about understanding where the love for ourselves is leaking out as much as it is about what it is that we're pouring in. We know how to love ourselves. Quite often it's unlearning the things that do the opposite. That's where the trick is. So there's really a two-pronged approach, not only filling yourself with self-love and doing things for yourself, speaking to yourself in a way that is positive and, it really comes from a place of thinking that you're brilliant and that you're awesome and that you're wonderful and that you're strong and courageous and the best, but is also about understanding where your challenges are. So where that's hard, why it's hard, and learning the skills and practices that you need to prioritize to overcome some of the limiting beliefs or the negative self-talk or behaviors that you are continually practicing that are putting holes in your self-love bucket and letting it seep back out again. But why is that a worthwhile pursuit? Why should you bother doing either one of these things, either filling up your self-love bucket or trying to plug the holes that you might be inadvertently poking in it. What's the benefit to actually putting the work in? The first thing really comes down to health. Our physical, mental, emotional health are all benefited when we love ourselves. When we love ourselves and we're compassionate and caring towards ourselves, we naturally prioritize the things that are good for us. We naturally seek out and undertake the things that are going to support us in the best possible way, that are going to make us feel great, that are going to keep us healthy. Now, this not only works on a physical level, so the choices that we make every day to keep ourselves physically healthy, but when you can work on reducing negative or limiting beliefs, certainly when you can reduce negative thoughts and negative self-talk, the potential benefit that that has for your mental and your emotional well-being is huge. It can boost your mood, it can reduce stress, and it has a huge roll-on effect for your health across the board. Self-love also has an amazing boost on your confidence. As you can imagine, when you love yourself more, when you think that you're amazing, it naturally lends itself to boosting your confidence, to feeling like you are worthy, and to approach different circumstances, different people, different relationships, conversations with a sense of confidence. Now, not only is that great for outward communication and how you project yourself into the world, but also an internal confidence that allows you within yourself to know that you've got what you need and what it takes to be able to get out there and go for what you want. Now, when you're getting out there and going for what you want, knowing your boundaries and your limits is really important. And that's another benefit for having a strong sense of love for yourself. It aligns itself, again, as always, with self-awareness, but knowing where you begin and end, knowing what's comfortable for you and safe for you, whether that's physically, emotionally, or mentally, is incredibly important. And when you know yourself and love yourself, it means that you will do what needs to be done more readily to preserve and protect those limits and boundaries. You'll know yourself well enough to know what it feels like when those limits are being approached or tested or stretched or completely overstepped. And then your self-love gives you the confidence and the ability to stand your ground, to be confident and comfortable and be able to respect and protect those limits that you have. And part of that comes from courage, which is another thing that self-love can provide. It gives us courage to back ourselves, to know that we can face hard things, to know that we have the resources, and to know that what our strengths are and what our abilities and our supports are, to nourish ourselves through that, but to also be able to, again, getting back to those personal boundaries, knowing when courage is something or bravery is something that should be pursued and pushed past, and when to respect that sense of fear, and when our bravery needs to be managed against risk that could put ourselves in harm's way. When we love ourselves, we have our own backs and we can face the world with courage. We can go for what we want. We can be passionate and forthright, and we can put ourselves out there. It aligns back to the confidence that we've spoken about, but it also aligns with the personal safety and knowing our limits. So we can be confident that we can push ourselves and be courageous within our limitations because we know where we begin and where we end. And with that courage, we are so much more inclined towards growth, towards productivity, towards going out there and getting our goals. Loving ourselves means being open to reflecting, to learning, and to developing ourselves. It lends itself to us being confident to be curious and know that we're always evolving, we're always changing. It, again, our health, our personal growth, our confidence, our courage, our personal safety and boundaries all add up to allowing us to grow even more, and with love and from a place of compassion, kindness, and support of ourselves and our goals. Self-love also has an unbelievable effect on our relationships with other people. When we love ourselves fully, we open ourselves up to the potential to give and receive love so much more authentically with others. If I go back to my bucket analogy that I talked about at the beginning, it applies to love from other people as well. So if you've got a love bucket and you've got other people trying to pour love into this bucket to fill you up, but you've poked lots of holes in it because you don't love yourself, then the likelihood that your love bucket will be able to be filled up or overflowed by other people is limited. So in loving yourself and working on loving yourself more, it allows you to experience love from other people in a completely different way, without any constraints, without any of the self-doubt in the back of your head, making you question intentions or the truth or the depth of other people's feelings. It allows you to have more deep conversations and more vulnerable conversations, and to really strengthen and have awesome connections with other people. It kind of goes without saying that with all of the things that I've mentioned, that self-love leads to more happiness and fulfillment. It kind of ends up being a natural cause and effect of loving yourself more. When you have better health, when you take better care of yourself naturally because you prioritize you, when you have more confidence, when you understand your limits and your strengths, when you approach life with courage and you are growing and developing and experiencing new stuff, you have awesome relationships with everybody else, it kind of stands to reason that you would feel more happy and fulfilled in your life. So this particular benefit is probably a little bit of a no-brainer. However, it is not to be ignored as a really integral part, a really positive outcome of loving yourself and prioritizing self-love. And then the last benefit I want to touch on today is authenticity. When you love yourself completely, it empowers you to live an authentic life, to live your life your way with zero apologies. It is loving yourself unconditionally, but on top of that, unapologetically. It is learning so deeply who you are and loving yourself on top of that, that allows you to be able to express yourself authentically. And that just catapults all the rest of the stuff. It increases your confidence. It increases your courage. It further improves the relationships that you have, the connections that you attract and that you maintain with other people. Your authentic self really is the end result of prioritizing self-love. So I hope that you can see that self-love goes beyond saying some nice things to yourself in the mirror every morning. It is really an extra layer that can be added to your self-awareness that goes beyond just knowing who you truly are, but really working on seeing yourself and loving yourself for everything that you stand for. It's being authentic, it's being you, and it is incredibly beneficial and empowering thing to pursue. It's the foundation to a happy, healthy, and amazing life. So if you're keen on injecting a little bit extra self-love in your life, why not download my free workbook? It's called Love Yourself First, and it'll give you 3 things that you can do today to start boosting your self-love. There's a link in the episode description, so grab yourself a copy and I'll see you in the next episode of Coach Gone Rogue.